Chairman Barrasso, members of the committee. It's an honor again to appear in front of you. And I want to start off and just give some kudos to our chairman, Chairman Phillips. I think he's done a great job in a very challenging situation, and enjoy having him as our chairman. The one issue I want to just focus on today, I think, is reliability. And I'm really afraid to say that I think the United States is heading for a very catastrophic situation in terms of reliability. Hope it doesn't happen, but I think we're heading for potentially catastrophic consequences. And the core of the problem is actually very simple. We are retiring dispatchable generating resources at a pace and in an amount that is far too fast and far too great, and it is threatening our ability to keep the lights on. Now, the problem is not the addition of wind and solar and other renewable resources. The problem is the subtraction of dispatchable resources such as coal and gas. And of course, Mr. Chairman, as you know, when a dispatchable coal unit is prematurely retired in West Virginia, it's still in rate base, and consumers still have to pay for it if it's prematurely retired. But this is going on all over the country in both RTO and non-RTO states. This almost cascading number of early retirements. And when I mean early retirements, I mean retirements when there's still many years of useful life left on these generating units. So let's look at PJM for one example, and the chairman alluded to PJM. The CEO of PJM, and PJM, by the way, is the biggest RTO in terms of load, in terms of consumers served in our country. So the CEO of PJM announced just a few weeks ago that PJM is projecting that they're going to lose 40 gigawatts of generating resources, 90% of which is dispatchable, coal and gas primarily. And they're going to lose these 40 gigawatts of dispatchable resources in just the next few years. At the same time, and by the way, the independent market monitor for PJM says the actual number is not 40 gigawatts, it's over 50 gigawatts of prematurely retiring generating resources. And against this, PJM is projecting at least 13 gigawatts of load growth. And so even if you took every unit in the queue, and people who think, well, if we just clear the queue, everything will be fine. No, it won't. You could clear the whole queue, and you wouldn't be close to covering what PJM is projecting in terms of their lost resources. And as we all know, and this is a hard fact, as the chairman alluded to it, the fact is most of the units that are in the PJM queue, almost 90% plus, are either wind or solar. So you can clear that queue, but a nameplate megawatt of wind or solar is simply not equal in terms of capacity value to a nameplate megawatt of coal or gas or nuclear. It's just not there. So basically in PJM, the arithmetic doesn't work. The arithmetic doesn't work, and we're going to end up with more situations like we had last Christmas during Winter Storm Elliott, when PJM came that close to having rotating outages. Now, the largest part of the problem in PJM, again, was the gas units. A lot of the independent gas units didn't show up. So let's talk about the two reasons why these cascading retirements and why we're heading for what I think is a potentially catastrophic situation. First, yes, market design is a problem. In the RTOs, particularly those with capacity markets like the eastern RTOs, market design is a big reason that we're seeing a lack of resources showing up and resources prematurely retiring. You know, these markets, and they're called markets, they're not markets. They're administrative constructs. They always have been. They're called markets. They have some market characteristics, but they're not true markets. And particularly the capacity markets, which in the eastern RTOs like PJM are the main way to get to resource adequacy, are increasingly just simply not working. So market design in the RTOs is a big problem, but I don't want to rule out the non-RTOs either. There's problems with premature retirements there too. The second reason particularly is we are not building a transportation capacity for gas units. Gas units increasingly are the ones that we're being called upon to be the balancing resources when coal retires prematurely. But if you can't get gas to the generating units, they can't run. And one of the big problems that we already know, and from Elliott and PJM, was a lot of the independent gas generators that didn't have firm supply didn't have any gas supply during the storm. So this problem is coming. It's coming quickly. The red lights are flashing, and I think as a member of Ferc, it's important for us to tell you that we see these problems coming. They're real. And if we don't do something about them, I'm afraid that we're going to look at potentially catastrophic situations. And what we saw in Winter Storm Uri in Texas, I think, is a harbinger of what we're going to, because that was a supply problem, a supply default. And Winter Storm Elliott was the same way. Supply didn't show up when it needed to show up. And I think we're heading to more situations like that. And with that, I'll be happy to answer your questions. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank all of you for your